everyone, it's Anthony Allen Ramos. All right, Amy Schneider, the Jeopardy champion, is back. It's the Tournament of Champions, and she is continuing to win and bring in the bucks, and we're so excited to have her back on our screens. And Jeopardy, the Tournament of Champions, is so exciting. Amy, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good.
Well, I'm so what a year it has been. I remember when we were talking, I was like, well, when is the Tournament of Champions? And November seems so far away, yet here we are, and you're doing so well. I gotta know, like, what's the game plan? I mean, did you change it up at all? Like, because you obviously had the winning idea of how you did it last time, but what's the game plan this time?
Right. I mean, definitely I do want to, it's clearly not broke, so I don't want to fix it, too much. But, there is some slight differences being the Tournament of Champions. Previously I was only ever going up against people who were playing their first game ever.
Right.
And now in the tournament, everybody's, won a few games. So, I think the one thing is that I want to be more conscious of looking for the daily doubles and remembering where they were and where they might be and when the right time is to really go for that. But otherwise not really a lot. I had I did some work with my mind to try to not be in my head about Final Jeopardy, but strategy wise the only thing was just look for the daily doubles a little more.
What is the strategy with the daily doubles? Because I haven't figured it out, because I never even paid attention. I mean, I just know when I hear when they happen, and I'm like, wait, I didn't even know where that was. I mean, they tend not to be in the $200 categories for the most part.
That's right. I mean, that's the one thing, is that they're very rarely in the top row. They're not usually in the second row. And they're rarely in Double Jeopardy. Rarely, possibly never, will they both be in the same category. So, beyond that, you just take your chances.
What was it like last week when we got to see you do that kind of kickoff practice game? It was very casual. I loved it with Mateo Roach and Madame Odio.
It was a lot of fun. It was, we only learned about it pretty last minute. I got a text as I was boarding the plane to go down to LA from the producer being like, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, I'll call you when I'm down there. And so I had to wonder about that. And that's what it was about. But yeah, I mean, I think, for the one thing, we all were grateful for the chance to get a little extra warm up in, which was one of the main points of it. But also it was just really, cool. It was something that had never been done before. And it was a chance to have all the fun of playing Jeopardy with none of the, anxiety.
I love that. Yeah, that was really fun. I think even Ken Jennings swore at one point. It was hilarious. So much has changed. You are a married woman now. Congrats on that. Tell me everything. How special was that? Because you kind of did it under the radar, before all of this happened again.
Yeah, so it was in our minds at first, it was just kind of like a paperwork thing for insurance and tax reasons, basically, and we were like, well, the real wedding will be, sometime next year with our family and everything like that. And so it was just us and three friends. And then, we ordered some dresses off ModCloth, and then, we had a little post-party plan, and then we had these flower crowns left over from last year's Renaissance Festival, and it sort of was turning into a bit of a thing. And then, we got down to the county recorder's office and did it, and we were like, wow, we're actually getting married here. And it was really beautiful, and it was there was something about having a wedding. Weddings are usually not for the bride, the couple. They're usually for the family and the guests and everything like that. So having one that was just about us was really kind of nice in an unexpected way.
I love that. I mean, are we still thinking that you want to have the bigger party for the other people, or do you think you got it all now that you did that the one and done?
Oh, we still want to have that. I certainly do, as I have not yet had the chance to have a big old wedding day with everybody making a fuss over me and getting a fancy dress and all that sort of thing. I want that whole experience. So yeah, that's still to come.
How is your wife handling all of the fame? I mean, now it's going to ramp up again because, you're going to be on America's screens, hopefully for a very long time again.
Yeah, like she's all right with it. There's definitely ways that it's hard on her. Especially like when we go out to events and things like that, it's easy to feel invisible since, people are there to see me and they're not there to see her and that sort of thing. But, she's, happy to see me happy, and, there's definitely a lot of perks that she's enjoying as well. And yeah, she's doing fine.
Did she help you any different way in terms of the preparation for Tournament of Champions and getting you ready for this kind of next round of your Jeopardy career?
Well, I think, the main thing that was different was that she was able to be there in the audience, which she wasn't able to last time, which was really great. And, and she was really, one of the things, as I was saying, I wanted to keep everything as similar to the first time through as possible. And so I was like, I wasn't sure where I wanted her to be involved because she had just not come with me previously. And so we decided that she would, fly down separately, stay in a separate hotel so that she could come see me and we could like hang out and celebrate her more and afterwards. But that I could still have my morning solo preparation, headspace. So I was really appreciative of that. And because for a moment I was like, do I even want her in the audience? Will that change things? And I can say in retrospect, I'm so glad she was there. It really made it special in a different way.
That's so, I know, it's sometimes you're like, do I want my loved ones there? Or am I going to be more nervous? I totally understand. Because I know when you had the initial big check of money after the 40 wins, we were talking about buying property, and I know you recently joked that you might want to buy Twitter. Hey, I think we would be for that. But if you are fortunate enough, you're already winning some big bucks, which is great. If we get to another big paycheck, what do you want to do with that money?
Well, we haven't bought the house yet. I think, actually the answer really is quite possibly, our wedding. Depending how big we want to do it up, do we want to do something? Both of us are kind of tempted by the idea of like a super fancy thing up in wine country or something like that, but that gets expensive real fast. So that's definitely a possibility. And, beyond that, we have a million travel plans that we have not had time to execute on this year. So whenever we get the chance, there's a lot of the world we want to see.
Are we a red wine or a white wine or a rosé or both? What do we like?
White wine all the way. Rosé as well, but neither of us likes red wine that much, which is always, we always enjoy the first part of every wine tasting we go to. And then we're a little drunk and the red wines sound great and we buy some and then they just sit at home for months because we don't actually like red wine that much.
I know, right? It's the regret. And then where is on the travel wish list that you still want to go?
Well, Ireland, as I said in my original run, is still on the list. And also several parts of Europe. Berlin, we'd both like to see. Greece. I would like to make another trip to Tokyo. I've been there once on a work trip and really loved it, and I'd love to go on a pure vacation there. And then also Genevieve has never been to Hawaii, and I love Hawaii, so that's also very high on the agenda.
Those are all great places, and look, hopefully you can afford to go to all of them after this next round. I was thinking about, your original run, and then just how it's been so wonderful to continue to see so many great champions from our community be on the show, have, similar moments. Obviously Matea Roach is someone who did so well. Other people who are non-binary, it's been so great. How cool was it for you to kind of not lead the charge, because obviously, we've had that inclusion before, but I really feel like with you being trans and just doing so well, I think it was such a moment to be kind of a part of opening, people's hearts and minds to the community when it comes to Jeopardy.
Yeah, I've gotten to know Matea a bit. I consider them a friend at this point. We really hit it off, and they've talked about taking some amount of inspiration from me, which is just a great thing to hear. And even when it was happening, their run was happening and I wasn't watching Jeopardy and just sort of seeing about it. I was just so glad to see that, you know, we're continuing to queer up the Jeopardy leaderboards, and that it was, you know, somebody else from our community. And then, you know, looking around at the field of contestants for the Tournament of Champions, you know, I don't know, I'm obviously biased, but I just felt like it was just the coolest bunch of people that have ever been together for a tournament. It was diverse in a lot of different areas. And I thought that was really great to see. You know, I've loved Jeopardy my whole life, and I know that they have tried hard to keep it from being too, you know, cis white dude centric. But it's also, you know, that's the sort of pool of people that are into trivia, and so I'm glad to see that that's really starting to change in a more noticeable way.
No, it's so noticeable and it's so great. You know, speaking of trips you mentioned, I know one of the most impactful things that you got to do, you know, since your first appearance on Jeopardy was getting to go to the White House. And, you know, thinking about the recent midterm elections with so many things, you know, on the ballot regarding trans people, regarding just our entire LGBTQ community, how have you been navigating, you know, being kind of one of the most famous trans people out there, and also in a time when it's pretty tricky for the community?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think that, you know, part of it is that I, you know, that I actually feel pretty good about where things are going. Like, obviously not in the short term, but you know, I was talking with some friends who were anxious about the midterm and talking about how they felt so, you know, they felt so bad for children who might be forced to detransition. And I said, well, you know, I feel that way too, but you know, when I was growing up, there was no need of laws like that. There was no kids being forced to detransition because none of them were allowed to transition. You know, this backlash is only happening because of our success. And as long as we can manage to keep having democratic elections in this country, like, things are just going to keep moving forward for us.
Yeah, and I hope so. And, you know, like, gotta, you know, keep up the hope for sure. I know that, you know, you had a kind of 9-to-5 job at one point before this Jeopardy success, and I know now you've been able to kind of really commit yourself to being a writer in that space. How is that going? So I'd love to kind of know what's next on the horizon.
Yeah, well, you know, writing a book is hard, as I've been learning, but also, you know, very rewarding. I'm very, very excited for people to see it once I actually do finish the darn thing. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really been about, you know, balancing all the things, all the opportunities that are open to me. And, you know, it took me a while to realize that I really could say no to things, and that I really had to be careful about overcommitting myself. And so, you know, going forward, it's about focusing on, you know, the writing as a main thing, and also trying to strip other things away to have more time to work with, you know, in nonprofits, advocacy, in that sort of space. Like, that's not going to be the majority of my focus, but I wish it had been more to this point. That's something I want to try to build on.
Well, Amy, it has been so much fun to catch up. And just a reminder, everyone, you can catch Jeopardy Tournament of Champions weeknights. Check your local listings. It's so much fun. We will be rooting Amy on. And, you know, who knows, maybe more millions are in store. We can't wait to see.